computer built for an office. This is a CIT case. And first we're going to start off by taking the cover off to see what's in there. So these look like USB 3. Yes, this is definitely USB 3. So we have 2 USB 3 ports in the front panel. You have a fan in there, a front fan. I don't know how well you can see in there, but there is a 12 centimeter fan in there. These are the screws and the beep speaker for the motherboard. These are also the motherboard screws. And the best thing is to put the computer like this in order to fit the motherboard and everything else in there. So first what you want to do is just get these wires out of the way, so you have more room to work in here. And I don't honestly know which is better to do, to start from the power supply or the motherboard. But I think I'm going to start with a power supply, so it's out of the way, and then I can put the motherboard in there. And this is the power supply. It's also CIT. You can just move the computer out of the way. So we can just unbox this one. Looks like it opens somewhere in here. It's the other way around, but well, it's open. Bit damaged, but it looks like empty. Maybe it's just to hold it in place. But here's the power supply. And let's just get it out of the package then. Just be careful not to cut into the wires. This is not the modular one, this is a simple power supply. Well, here's the manual how to install it. However, I won't be needing this. Right, now we can fit the power supply. Not sure where the screws are. Usually the screws come with the power supply, but yeah, I think the motherboard has also the power supply screws. I mean, not the motherboard, but the case. So try to find them. If you're not sure which screws are for the power supply, then these are the ones. You can tell by the shape, they're all the same, so you should be able to find at least 4 of them. There might be more, because these also hold all the graphics cards and other PCI cards in place, or whatever cards you want to put in there. And as you can see, this one has the power supply mount on top, which is very common to nowadays computers. So basically all you do is just put the power supply into place, and of course make sure the fan is facing inside of the computer. Don't want to block this out. You have small edges to hold it. Just slot it in place, and then you will just put the screws in there. It's also good to have a magnetic screwdriver, so we can just do this and put them in place. This is where you have to be careful not to do what I just did. Also, it's good to put it cross first in here and then the screw in there. If you're wondering how tight the screws should be, well, not too tight and not too loose. So don't put much force on it, and don't leave them too loose either. Just make sure the power supply doesn't move anywhere and you should be fine with it. Alright, and here we have the power supply mounted. Also, you might want to get these wires out of your way. Just put them over there. And now you can mount the motherboard. Alright, and we're going to prepare the case for the motherboard. As you can see, there are no mounts in here. What you need to do is use these kind of pieces. And you need to put them where the motherboard has the mounts. But you can't do this before you have the motherboard actually out of the box. Because the motherboard, as you can see, there are a few of these holes in there where you can mount these. So it's best to take the motherboard out of the case first and then look where exactly it goes. Then you can mount it. Right, and this is the motherboard. It actually came as a bundle, so but it's not mounted. So we can unbox this one. Usually the bundles, they come pre-mounted, the CPU and everything, but this one is not. These are the SATA cables, just put them inside. These are obviously the drivers and stuff. This is the back plate for the motherboard. There is a quick installation guide. This is actually very important to know where the wires go, so keep this in handy. And then we can open the box. Right. Here's the motherboard itself then. It's quite a small one. And you have to be careful with the motherboard because they're quite fragile actually. So don't just put it anywhere. This bag is also the anti-static, so it doesn't build up the static in there. So it's actually very hard to take the motherboard out. You should not be touching it from underneath like this, so just keep it on this bag. That's the best place to put it in. As you can see, the motherboard goes this way in the computer. So now we can see where the screws go. As you can see, there's one. I don't know which one that is, but we'll see. So if you put it in here, you can see it takes the top ones on there. And which bottom ones? It's very hard to see from here. Two in there and the top ones. And also these should be just hand tight, but if it doesn't fully go into the case, then you should use some kind of pliers. Don't know why this motherboard is weird. I mean, there should be another one, but not to worry about it. 5 of them is more than enough to hold it in place. So, and the next thing is to fit the back panel. Try to open this up. And if you're not sure which way it goes, just look from the motherboard itself. So obviously it goes this way. And this one is pretty easy to mount, so you just look which way it goes and just push it in there. Just make sure it's nicely in place and that should be fine. And now we're going to put the motherboard in there. You have to be very careful with this, not to touch any edges on it or not to bend any components on it, so be very gentle with it. The way you should put it, don't slide it on the computer either, just lift it up if you want to move it. Just push this end slightly in there. And again, it's stuck on the back panel just a little bit, but just see that the screw holes line up, and that's it. It's going to always have a little pressure on it, but it's not much from the back panel. So I'm going to leave it as it is, and we find the screws. And again, if you're not sure which screws to use, well, there are always different screws, but I think these are for the motherboard. Easiest way is just take one of these and try them in here and see if they fit in there. I hope this one doesn't fit. So it's these tiny screws, you can see, these ones. So you need 5 of them. Right, when putting the screws in there, I definitely recommend having a magnetic screwdriver. And just be very careful not to scratch the motherboard with these things. And don't put the first screw too tight, just leave it a little bit loose, just in case you need to move the motherboard. And again, I recommend putting another screw across as far as possible from the first one. So in this case it's this one. This one we can tighten a little bit more. You might actually want to put these between the screws, but it's not so important because as you can see, the motherboard has actually the edges on it, which is meant for the screws. So I will actually put these for the remaining ones. That's actually good to have, but it's also a bit more difficult. So these also help keep the screws in place if you put a little bit of pressure on it. So if the computer has some vibrations from the fans, then the screws don't just shake loose. I'm going to actually put these small washer things on the other ones too. Alright, so I have replaced these washers in here. I mean, not replaced, but added them in there. And if you're wondering again how tight the screws should be, well, just put the screwdriver on them and just tighten them with like 2 or 3 fingers. Not too much. If you feel the screwdriver starts to slip over, then that's more than enough. So don't need to put much pressure. So I never actually seen this before. And some people may actually say that it's better to put the wires in place, but I think it's better to have actually the CPU in place. So we're gonna put the CPU next, and let's move this on the side. And the CPU is in here. That is on quad core FX 4100. This is more than enough power for an office computer. So let's unbox this one. Right, so this is cut off from there. Just open it up. This comes with a heatsink. That is the heatsink. Oh yeah, look at that, it's all red. Alright, and this is the CPU itself. Little tiny thing in here. I have to be very careful with this CPU not to actually take it out from the wrong place, so I'll just show you how it's best to do it. And the CPU is the first thing to mount, so just move the computer. Right. And basically just find the side where the CPU opens from, the case. It's from here. And I think it's better to open it this way. Again, be very careful not to squash it in there, because these pins are extremely fragile. So to not touch the pins, take it from the sides like this. And don't touch the pins at all. And what you want to do always is just examine that all the pins are straight and there are no bent pins. You can just see it from the side. And you can also see some small holes in there. These are the ones that are also on here. So you know which way the CPU goes. It can only go one way, which is this way. First you have to undo this. Then just carefully put the CPU in place. And it has to just go in there on its own. Just put your finger in here, apply some pressure. Well, you don't have to be very careful with this, you can put quite a lot of pressure on it, and just put the lever back in there. The CPU is in place, and now to mount the cooler in there. Right, the cooler is here, the heatsink. So just this one. This has a pre-applied thermal paste. I've actually heard that this is not a good way to apply the thermal paste. That the best thing is actually just put one drop in the middle and just let it spread out on its own. But well, I don't have an extra thermal paste, so this will have to do. So first we're going to check, these are the brackets in here. Before you start mounting it, you have to see which way you can go with it. So obviously if you put it this way, you can see the power supply is very close, so you can't really attach this one in there. So it's best to just turn it around and put it this way. First thing, you want to put this bracket in there. So Can't really see what's going on in there. Okay, that bracket is in place. Just hold it with one finger so it doesn't slip. The other bracket is in place. Make sure it's there, and then we can just put it. Don't be afraid of it, it has quite a lot of pressure on it. Once you feel it, just do it a little bit, so the thermal base in there. And now we can attach the cables. This is a CPU fan. Not sure which one it should go into, but it looks like there is one empty plug in here, so I'm going to just put it in here for now. But the wires are still on the way, so we're going to work on some cable management for a second. Also be careful so the wires doesn't actually go into the fans in here or in here. Right, so I have cut around to this wire. I just put it under the heatsink, but you don't really want to push it into the CPU either, so well, it's far away from it right now, so it's fine. And next we're going to put the RAM in place. This should actually have 8 GB of RAM, but unfortunately there was some mistake in the order, so we only have 2 GB at the moment, but it will be replaced. So this is a 2 GB module. Try not to touch the pins in there. And the RAM can only go one way. First undo these pins in here. Make sure it goes into the channel and just push it down until the pins click in place. And just make sure they're tight enough, and that's fine. And I think the next step is to connect up all the wires. For this you need the motherboard guide. Right, so this is where you need the manual. These are the pin layouts in here. It's actually a very bad manual because I can't really tell where they are. However, if you look closely in here, you can actually say says HDD in there, so it's this pin in here and the other one is here, which they mention in the manual. One of the things we can connect is the beep speaker. I don't really use it, but I'm gonna just put it in place. This is just for an office build, so you can see from here the speaker is the outside 2 pins, plus and minus. Obviously the plus is the red one and minus is the black one. The speaker goes into this one in here. And now the hardest bit is this cable. These are all the power switches and LEDs. So you can see it actually says on top of these which one is which. And then you have this manual in here, so which matches with these. So just have to look which one is which and make sure that the plus and minus is correct. So this is the most complicated process, I have to say, when attaching the motherboard. So you just have to make sure you attach them correctly. So I have connected this up, but then I just realized that this cable is on the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the other panel, this side, and I'm going to run these wires behind the motherboards out of the way. So this panel slides off like this. And as you can see, that's why you have these holes everywhere, so you can run the wires behind this and connect it up again. So what I'm going to do is just take the cable, run it from somewhere here to here and reconnect it. Alright, so as you can see, I ran the cable from here. Have to be careful, don't put too much tension on the cables. And if you look from the other side, then this is where the cable ends up, so it's nice and tidy. The next thing is the audio cable. I'm not entirely sure which one you should connect, but I will use this HD audio, and that's the audio port in there. I'm going to do the same thing with this cable. Just try to put it behind here. I have to turn the computer upside down again, or on the side. It's a lot better this way. And this can go only one way. As you can see, there's one pin missing, so nothing hard in there. Just plug it in there, and there you go, it's done. This other one we can just hide behind the back panel. Unfortunately, this motherboard does not have this kind of connector, so I have to leave this one out for now. Just put it out of the way for a second. And now we can connect up the power supply cables. Or actually I will leave these out for now. I will connect everything else up and then I will connect the power supply up. Right, so what we have left is a video card. For an office computer you don't need really that much power, so this should do. And then we have a hard drive, that's a 2 terabyte hard drive. And we have a DVD writer, just a basic one. So I'm going to start off with the video card. Let's just unbox this one. I think that's the wrong side, yes it is. This is for the small case, you don't need this one. That's the drivers. You don't really need this one either, you can just download them from a NVIDIA website. That's the video card itself in here. So you can be very careful with this, don't put any pressure on it. That's the video card itself. This should be enough power to play the HD videos and handle all the other applications, so you can just plug it in there. So this is the PCI Express slot where it goes, and first you want to just look which one it takes up, so it's this one here. These you just push out, don't worry about that, this is supposed to break off. You can't reattach these, so and you need another screw in here, which are the same screws as we used for the power supply. So first thing, just put the video card in there and just push it in there. And this here is the lock. If you push it this way you can pull it out, this way it's locked. So that's the simple one. Make sure it's in place and then just put one of the screws on the side in here. Just hold the card upwards like this way, so it's perfectly in place. This screw you can tighten as tight as you want, nothing to break in there, but you might just overdo the screw, so not too much force. But there's so much of the graphics card, and then we have a hard drive in here. This again, careful with the package. I'm not even sure where the hard drives go in this case. I think in front of the fan. This is the fan connector, the power for the fan. And we can put the hard drive somewhere in the middle of the fan. That's where they go. So a hard drive, you can tighten the screws from here. And about the hard drive screws, I think it's these ones. We just try if they go in there. So that was not supposed to happen, but there we go. Don't want to push the hard drive too much into the fan, but actually I'm gonna move the hard drive up, I think, because here are the SATA connections, so I'm gonna put it in here, or maybe it will restrict the airflow for the graphics card, so maybe move it even one up, so we put it in here. Yeah, that's a better place, so not too much in the fan, and just put the two screws in here. There is absolutely no need to put the screws on the other side on the hard drive, more than enough to hold it from one side, so it's not going anywhere. And that's it, the hard drive is in place. And now all we have is the DVD writer. This one comes with the screws. But apparently this grill has some kind of brackets on the sides, so that's how it comes out. There were some plastic things holding it from here, so you don't really need this anymore, but it looks nice. So put it on the side. So the drives, it's just should slide in from the front like this. And it's stuck on something? No, it's not. So it shouldn't go any further, but just line it up with this. And the same thing with this, like with the hard drive, you have screw holes in here. And we're gonna use the original screws from DVD drive. Again, you have 4 of them, but you only need 2 really, so just 2 of them on this side. And now the last thing to do is connect up all the wires. And I also recommend putting all the wires behind the motherboard as much as possible. Fortunately, I can't really do anything about this at the moment. Actually, I found a place, I'll just put it above that DVD writer. There we go. That's hidden. So first thing is the motherboard power, which is this one. And if possible, I should move it around in the back, so I have to see how it goes. Right, so most of the stuff is done. All there is to connect all this mess up. I started off with motherboard power cable, which I have put behind there, and it goes right in here. So it just can go one way, so but the motherboard doesn't have a screw, so I have to hold it a little bit, which is a bit tricky honestly. Right, that should be in place. Then the next one, we take the CPU power, which is this one, the 4 pins. I don't think I can really hide this cable. This goes right in here. So just have to put it in place somehow. Maybe you can just do this. But if you tie a knot in here, don't tighten it too much, just leave it loose. And again, this only goes one way. There we go, it clicks in place. Right, so the CPU power is plugged in. Just hit the cable between the motherboard and the heatsink and stuff. So now we're gonna connect the power to the DVD. These can also go only one way, so can't go wrong with these. And the hard drive power. This is actually a really good connector. It has like SATA power and the Molex connector. The Molex is for this. I'm going to connect that from the other side. But it's power for the hard drive. Just be careful not to twist the cables too much. Just put them on the side. And this can go on the other side. We'll connect it up on the other side. These Molex cables have sometimes problems that the pins twist a little bit. Yeah, this one doesn't go in there. See, the pins are just moving around. So as you can see, these pins twist in there, so it's very hard to actually connect these ones, but with a little bit of practice you should be able to do it. So well, if the fan doesn't work, then you'll be able to see that it's not properly connected, but I think it's done. So have to be careful that the wires doesn't go in the fan from here, so I'm gonna probably attach them to here with some kind of cable tie, and hopefully that should be it. Right, the only thing to do is connect the SATA cables up, which we're gonna just do right now. One for the hard drive, one for the DVD drive. This is the easiest part. These can only go one way, and it absolutely doesn't matter in which place you connect them to. I will just see what I'm doing in there. There's one. Just click in like that. And this you might want to hide. And the hard drive is here. actually hide it behind there so it stays out of the fan. And the other one comes for the DVD. I actually put it behind there. I think it actually has the room to actually go all the way up on the top. Yes, there we go. And that's all connected up, so I'm gonna just put the covers back on. The cover is gonna take care of that, so now it's the front case. You can have two fans in here if you have more powerful gear in there, but this one has a front fan and that should be more than enough for the cooling. The front panel always has the hand screws, so you can easily undo this. Now we're going to wire this up and put it up. Right, as you can see, I have connected it up, and the keyboard is the missing part, so this is just a basic keyboard. It didn't really even come in a proper box. Let's put them in the back, and we can just power it up. As you can see, the monitor is turned on. So let's push the button and see what happens. There we go. Yeah, it doesn't have an operating system, so that needs to be installed. As you can see, computer works and it looks cool. So I ran into small problems with this. As you can see, I had this on the screen, and I will put the DVD in, and that's the Windows installation. And this here, as you can see, it's CD DVD, and if I try to boot from here, you can see it's doing something in here, and this is the message I got, and I couldn't figure this out why it's doing that. And it doesn't seem to have any BIOS either, so I hit just Alt Control Delete and then keep tapping delete button, because it doesn't actually say that you can go into the BIOS or anything. So I was stuck on this one a little bit, but if you just keep tapping the delete, then you will see this. We go into advanced BIOS features, write this one, boot sequence, go in there. And this 2.2 terabyte, that's not the hard drive, this is some kind of motherboard feature. You don't want this. Just change this to CD, DVD, leave the second boot as hard drive, which is this one, and the third one disabled. F10 to save, OK, and now it should boot from the DVD. I'm going to just make sure that it does. Yeah, there we go, it's booting up. And as you can see, normally you don't see any BIOS entry at all, so it just directly starts booting from the first boot device without showing anything at all. And there we go. So if you have the same problem, you know how to fix this.